Hi friends, this is Susie, your Candy Crush guru. It is December 11th, 2019, and I'm here with my promised update about our inability to exit without losing a life. Although there's not a whole lot to report on that front, except that we still don't have the ability. I do have more information I would like to share though, and a request of how we might be able to help see this resolved. So the long version goes like this, and forgive me for not being very eloquent, but I am just mentally drained by this whole thing. So what's been happening is the King community page has been flooded. We now have, I believe, 43 pages of messages from various folks who want to comment about the situation. And it's been getting a little bit heated. And so yesterday I made this comment. We have this idea games are supposed to be fun diversions or provide mental stimulation. And certainly CC was that for many of us for many years. But it seems the developers are intent to make games what they've been historically. Practice battles for waging war. For they have certainly pitted the players against the CMs and superstars. As a player, I don't want to be complaining. I want to be playing the game. If I were a King representative, I probably would have chosen the occupation in part to help provide a fun experience for people. But it seems the company has lost its ability to think about the best interests of its stakeholders. If I were a CM or a superstar, I would be questioning why King seems to be throwing its representatives under the bus, and what this means for the future, because this very situation occurred before back in May, but they handled it effectively. Within 5 pages of comments, the players reported the problem, the superstars clarified the issue and reported it to the CM contacted the studio, and the studio reversed the changes. Find the proof of this assertion below, and I put in a link, and if you click on that link, it brings you over to this occurred in June, on June 4th. I believe the matter was first addressed on May 27th, and it took a bit of time to clarify what was going on. It didn't start with an announcement from the community manager. But then when the community manager did come on, she said, "Hi everyone, thank you very much for all the helpful feedback you've provided in this thread. I'm delighted to confirm the shuffle feature is back in place so you can resume tackling those sticky situations. I hope this brings back the sweetness to your candy crushing." And that happened, like I said, within 5 pages. It's handled very effectively, very efficiently. This is the latest information we've received from the community manager, and I understand his perspective. It has been getting very heated. People against the community manager, against the superstars, against each other, against the studio. Really, it's there's been a lot of emotions expressed. So he says, "Dear community, I just wanted to let you know that all your comments are being checked and taken into account. I'm gathering your feedback on a daily basis and sharing it with the studio. I also wanted to say that I totally understand your comments and frustration. However, we are all here as part of this community. As Jethrina Bodina said, we all have here a space to speak up and share our personal opinions, but please, it is really important to keep respecting each other and every and each of the different opinions posted in this discussion." And it has gone on from there, and it has gotten even more heated, and they actually shut down the thread for a bit, but it's back up again. And so this is what I posted. "I agree we should speak respectfully to one another, but people are feeling angry. We are feeling powerless. We are tense, on edge, upset, frustrated, etc. None of these comments would have been made if the studio hadn't provoked the situation. When expectations are not met, there is usually disappointment, and it seems the majority of people here have the reasonable, in my opinion, expectation that one of their favorite features of the game would not be capriciously yanked away, returned, yanked away again, etc. King makes literally millions of dollars per week on this one game, and they have been doing so even with this long-running feature in place. I would like to see King restore this feature, not only to those of us who recently lost it, but to those who lost it back around August 2018 as well. I would like to see this done without a boycott, without King suffering financial losses, and without players suffering stress from a game that promises to relieve stress. And I am convinced that there is a way to do this, folks. But unfortunately, we're the ones who don't hold the power currently. King is the only one who can do this without a boycott, without them getting any kind of interruption, without us having to put forth any effort. We don't come to play the game to be stressed. We come because it says it relieves our stress. And it's not such a relief when we have to deal with these kind of political corporate issues that really shouldn't touch the average player. But I am going to ask you, before we consider a boycott, that we try one more time to get their attention. And so what I'm going to ask you is that we double this 43 pages, that each of you comes on to the King community site, and I will post a link. I will pin it in the comments, pin a link to this so you can come right to this spot. You may need to sign in. You may need to develop an account, but it's a super easy account to set up, and I think you can just sign in through Facebook even. So it's not that hard at all. But I think that we need to fill the community with our opinions about this. And we need to try to be as respectful as possible. Now you might say, Susie, you say to be respectful and you're kind of slamming the studio there. Well, that was as respectful as I could be. So you just be as respectful as you can be and express what your wants are, or at least express your frustration over this. I think that should be our first step, because really it should be a beautiful symbiotic relationship where, you know, King provides us this wonderful opportunity to play the game for free and to make in-game purchases if we want to have a different experience with it. And then we get this free game that we get to enjoy. And if we want to get a little boost and don't want to have to work so hard, we can purchase things to make the experience different. You know, it's two sides, and we're both getting something out of it when it all runs really well. And when it's not running well, it really compromises our ability to have fun. And what's the point in sticking around? I mean, I was never one to be in a romantic relationship where I was taken for granted. As soon as that started happening, I was out the door. And so I don't want to be in this relationship where I feel like that's happening to me. Like, you know, the typical, the woman falls in love because the man is, and it could happen both ways. I'm just, you know, from my perspective, I'm a female, so this is how I view it. But the man is wonderfully attentive and takes her out to dinner and gives her jewelry and all these free things, and she feels special and in front of her friends, and she's hooked. And then he starts taking her for granted and stepping out on her, and she's still holding on. And maybe he even gets abusive and she's still holding on. And the reason is he wasn't like that in the past. She's holding on to the memory of what he was. And he needs to turn it around real quickly, or her friends are just going to keep telling her, get out of that relationship. It is not any good for you. And I'm really hoping King, from my perspective, this is a problem, and King has every ability to turn it around right now. And I don't see anything from their perspective that would create a problem for them in doing that. If there is a problem with that, certainly I haven't seen it expressed. I don't understand what the problem would be. I don't see how they would be losing revenue. And if they are losing revenue, what are the consequences if they continue with this? And many of us do boycott. And I understand, you know, one of the things that has been said is, well, you know, people say they're going to quit all the time, and they don't. The numbers still show the same. But I do personally know people who have quit, and it's just that new people come on. But even those of us who do not pay anything to play this game, we create part of the buzz. If 1 in 10 people, I'm just using round figures, they may or may not be accurate, but let's say only 1 in 10 people actually makes purchases with the game. For every 10 people who play, one person will purchase. That's still, then if I'm excited about the game and I get other people excited about the game, the more people I draw in, there's still going to be 1 out of 10 people who are making purchases. And so even if I'm not making a purchase myself, I still contribute to that number and to that buzz and to the success of the company. So I'm hoping that they don't take us for granted and that they return this feature to us. Anyway, I'm done ranting. My throat's about to give out. If this was helpful, I would ask that you consider liking and subscribing, but more than that, I just really want to see this resolved, and so I'm hoping that you will join me on this adventure. And if this doesn't resolve itself, or I should say if King does not resolve this, and somebody wants to form a one-day no-play boycott and you want me to advertise it, or if I think that it has a chance of succeeding and it's done really well, I will certainly advertise it and see if we can approach it that way. But it is really my hope that King not lose any revenue on this. I just want it all to be magical again. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.